What's up, y'all? Oh, hold on. I gotta do this silly thing. Otherwise, it won't allow comments. First off, happy Friday. Where's the doohickey? It's already there. It's already there. This thing is sassy sometimes. So I know it's Friday night and things are opening back up. So I was going to go on earlier, but I was not feeling well. So here I am. And I was trying to compile my thoughts around this because it's quite a heavy topic. You know, as many of you know, I have a program, Tapped Out to Tapped In, with bridging the gap between mothers and daughters. But though I have a daughter and this is kind of my primary focus, I do have boys also, and I have a wonderful relationship with them as well. But my son and I had a conversation yesterday, and it was about, I asked him to find me the resource for it, and he kind of read it, so I don't know how reliable it is, but it was about male suicide, and they know that I've been speaking on mental health and suicide since 2018 publicly, with my own mental health issues and being inpatient twice. So with having that conversation with my son, I felt it was important to remind everyone how important open communication is, not only with your daughters, but with your sons as well. And especially with the various groups that are out there today and the access that they have to many avenues where they can be harmed or bullied or just not feeling heard. And a lot of that stems from the home, and allowing open communication with your children and allowing them the ability to have their voice in their home, because that should be the one place that they have it. I told you guys on Monday, my older two grew up not having a voice, and they grew up in the space of kind of how I was raised, which was, sit down, shut up, you belong over there, you're better seen, not heard type of mentality. And it wasn't until I left my marriage where I was able to create that open communication space with them, where we sit, they say what's on their mind, and then I allow them, whatever they are feeling or have to say, no matter what it is, they're allowed to say it. And then I come back with it, like, say if they want to do something. One of my kids right now is struggling with school, so I took electronics away. And despite the fact that this particular child is trying to do something with the technology world, your education comes first. You at least got to graduate high school, right? So we talk about suicide and we talk about mental health, but do we really, or do we just really bypass it? 1 in 4 individuals experience a mental health disorder at any given time within a rolling year. And I can't imagine how much more this has grown since COVID has happened, with having to stay inside. Now you add that on to the age 10 to 24, according to the CDC. The suicide rate from 2007 to 2017 has grown 56%. And with that, the age 10 to 14 age group, the rates have tripled from 2007 to 2017. And from age 15 to 19, it has grown 76%. And 20 to 24, 6% annually it increases. So what does that tell us? For me personally, I think that tells us a lot. And I don't know how they get the numbers where it's 56%, but yet everything is tripled, 76% and 6%. But we'll let the CDC figure that one out. That's their numbers. And you can go on their website to fact check if you so choose. My kids, I got quotes from my kids, and they're in the description section, but my older two specifically, because of how they were raised and how they grew up before we shifted into open communication and we shifted into self-acknowledgement and apologizing and allowing them that freedom to be who they really need to be. And my almost 17-year-old was, for him, stating that allowing their voice to be heard and allowing their full story to be told without any interruptions, without bias, and without judgment helps their own mentality tremendously, because then they have that freedom and that growth to be who they need to be and to think out what they need to think out, whether sometimes they'll think it's nonsense or sometimes they'll catch themselves. I mean, at the age of 12, it's about 12 and above. It's just about guiding them and coaching them into who they need to be. And it's not about this is what you need to do, because that's the point where they already know who they are. At 6, they have their personalities, and it just kind of gets molded as they grow. And at 12, they know their structure. So at that point, they're going to learn by what you show them, not what you tell them. And if you're showing them does not align with what you're telling them, that is when you're going to start to run into problems and behavioral issues with your kids. You have to be in alignment with what you're telling them to do. So in regards to mental health and open communication with your children, this is for boys and girls. My son says to allow them to tell their full story. Don't interrupt them. Sit, no electronics, no distractions. Just sit and listen and be present with your kids and learn how to active listen. One of the biggest problems in today's society is a lack of understanding of how to be an active listener, how to sit, allow somebody to tell their story or what is going on. And then if you can regurgitate it back to them or say, what I'm hearing is, or how this sounds to me is, for confirmation, then that individual knows that they're being heard, whether it's a child or an adult. People just want to be heard. And I think more specifically for children, because they need to feel validated. Well, I think humans in general need to feel validated. So being heard. My eldest son was raised with male toxicity, and we had a very long, serious conversation. Hi, Heather. Thank you for chiming in. We had a long conversation today about male toxicity, and we've had several conversations about that. And I've asked him, is Daddy here? Okay. Have a great weekend. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I love you.
Have fun with your thingamajig.
That's my baby. That's my 11-year-old. So with male toxicity, my middle child was raised with male toxicity. It was the sit down, shut up. It was physical abuse. It was men don't cry. It was you're a fag. Are you a fag? At 10 years old, are you a fag because you're crying? These are, I'm quoting here. These are not my words. It was so much, and for him to tell me how that affected him today, it broke my heart, because you can't, once things are said and actions are done, you can't retract that. You can only do what's best now in moving forward and acknowledging what happened, but how you can shift it. But for him, that male toxicity has affected him, because he said there was that, and then there was mom. There was the protector. Bye, baby. Have a great weekend. Okay. I'll see you later. I'll see you Sunday, okay? Okay. There was what happened to him on the male side, and what he was told a male was, a male doesn't cry. A male is hit and doesn't cry. A male doesn't show emotion. A male is a fag if he cries. Fag, that's not my word again. These are quotes. And how he says that affected him today is that he knows that as a mom, I'm here and I was there to comfort him. And when he needed to cry, I was there to comfort him. So as he's looking for a girlfriend or another woman figure in his life, as he's kind of transitioning into that college lifestyle shortly, he said, all I know is that this is how a male is. And then I look to a mother figure or a female role, because females know how to show emotion and I don't know how to do that. So if I don't have a girlfriend or a woman to show me that it's okay to cry and it's okay to have emotion, I don't know how to do that as a male. And I'm like, this is how our boys are being raised, and it speaks so loudly from a 17-year-old's perspective, or almost 17-year-old's perspective, because he now feels that unless he has a woman in his life, that he's not going to be safe to express himself, because he doesn't know how to cope with that unless he has a female show him the way. So he feels that he has to rely on a woman to feel comfortable to express himself, because now that wall of perception is put up that men don't do this. If I cry, I'm gay. If I cry, I'm this. If I show emotion, I'm that. But to be able to connect with emotion, he doesn't know how. And the male suicide rate is 75% to the female suicide rate of 25%. So what is happening here? Is it that male toxicity? Is it that men and boys are taught that it's not okay to have emotion? I assure you, men and the men I hang out with and talk to, they praise emotion. And I can only hope that my son can be open-minded to be in the groups that I'm in and or find his own. But having open communication and creating that open, safe space for your kids is so freaking important. For boys, for girls, for everyone. But you have to be able to do that within yourself as well. And if you can't break the generational cycles of boys don't cry, you don't show emotion, you're this or you're that, if you're crying, you show emotion, you yourself have to see that within you to know that that's not acceptable, and it's not appropriate. And to raise our boys that way, and then to raise our boys that they have to rely on a woman, that it's safe to be emotional only if they have a woman attached to that, that's also not okay. We have to teach both entities, no matter what they identify as, that it's safe to be who you are when you need to be it. And on my daughter's end, she wrote a very long one, but she was also raised in the environment of, we don't cry. I'm going to hit you, but you don't cry about it. And I'm going to hit you harder if you cry about it. And she was raised not to show emotion, and that emotion was bad. And she, like myself, had the ability to numb herself until she could no longer hold it within. When you look at your kid, this thing that we were gifted with to raise, and I don't care what's going on, and I'm so glad I had the ability to grow and transform, but when you look at your kid and you see scars everywhere, and you know that you are a part of that pain, I'm pretty sure there's nothing anyone would do, any parent would do, to go back in time and just fix what was wrong. And all we can do is accept what was and move forward for the best. But once damage is done, that healing process is so long, and they have to want to heal, and you have to want to heal, and you have to want to change. But if you have young kids now, I encourage you to speak life into them, no matter how frustrating they are. Whether they put a peanut butter and jelly in the VCR, I know we don't have VCRs anymore, but our oldest, my ex and I, she's 23 now, but she put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the VCR because she wanted to see how it would play. So, or we had one stick a paper clip in the light socket. We had one stick a gym card in the PS3 when PS3 was brand new. So there was that. No matter what they do, it's remember how excited you were when you had them, or how much light you had within you when they came out, or even how scared you were, because they're just as fucking scared, and they need you. They need us whole and complete as possible. Yeah, Man, if there's one thing that will test an adult's nerve is it's a child. It is a child. And remember that they are quite literally you. When I started looking for my mannerisms in my kids, I went from frustration to laughter. How would a PB&J would play? Um, I all of my frustrations, I haven't been frustrated very often in the last 5 years. Once I start letting go of control and letting them figure out, like once they're like 13, 14, once they hit high school, that's it. We're molding, we're growing. If you want to fail a class, you fail a class. You're the one that's got to pay for it, not me. You're the one that's got to take summer school, not me. I did my time. I graduated barely, but I graduated. But it's up to you. They have their own journey. They have their own lives to live, and it's up to us to support them. And you don't have to punish them. You don't have to yell at them. We have to mold and guide them. Like right now, their grades is an issue. I let it go. I let it go. I let it go. I'm not going to yell. I'm just going to take the shit I paid for, which is the electronic shit. And when you get your grades back to a sustainable level, because that's what I have control over, is the shit I paid for. If you're going to spend your time fighting with them, it's just going to get worse. And then their mental and emotional state is going to get worse. They're already stressed out about school. Teach them the tools. Have you reached out to your instructors? Have you reached out to your counselor? Is there anything I can help you with? Don't ask me about math or science or anything that's not psychology, sociology, or art, according to my high school transcript that we went over today, and my son laughed at me. But it's about being present. Sitting down and being present and listening and active listening. And knowing that they are loved, because boys need hugs, boys need kisses, boys need to know that emotions are human and acceptable and normal and expected. And they need to know that they don't need to rely on a woman to make it okay to have emotions. And on a female perspective, my daughter struggles with not being wanted by her dad. She's got a biological father who hasn't seen her since she was 4. And then some things went on with my ex-husband. And so she struggles greatly with that. And just being there. And sometimes there's no void that one parent can fill over the other. But that's a healing journey they have to take on within themselves. But being there and actively listening to what they want, what they need, how their day was, what they're frustrated about, where they feel that you can help them will help their mental health and well-being tremendously. And it will help them know that you care, as opposed to coming home from work or a long day, getting on your phone, they're talking and you're like, yep, great. Did you shower? Did you do your homework? Did you do this? Did you do that? There's no fucking connection there. None. What connection and authenticity is there with your relationship with your child when you're doing that? Let them be heard and let them know that it's perfectly acceptable to have feelings and to have a voice, and that you are a safe space for them. So that's all I got, guys, for tonight, is how important open communication is for your children and what it means for your children. And I put my kids' quotes. They're so gracious enough they know what I'm up to and to chime in. And I'm blessed and grateful that my kids are open to my communication. So let them be heard, man. They need it, and they need hugs, and boys need hugs, but you got to hug them on their level. My daughter will only accept a hug if it's a couple seconds. Sometimes it just depends on her mood. Sometimes it's too much for her emotionally, and you gotta step back. But sometimes you just gotta fucking grab them and squeeze the shit out of them and let them know that you love them, and commit to restarting a fresh, open communication from this moment forward. No electronics. I'm here for you, open and authentic. And what do you need to know? What do you want to know? Where do you need support? Where do you need love? And they're gonna look at you weird as shit. Trust me, they are. If you don't have that already, they're going to be like, who are you? And what have you done with my parent? But you have to commit to transforming yourself, or it's not going to work, and then they're going to resent you for quite some time. So that's all I have. This is what I focus on, and I hope one of you put out a male course, because it would be amazing for my son to get in a male course. I have the female course, or the girl course, the women and girl course. If someone can make a male course about this, be the first one to sign my son up. But y'all have a wonderful Friday night. Thank you for chiming in. I love you, and be blessed.